Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is another paid request, this time for Yule. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, topics, reactions, commentaries, reviews, re-reviews, what have you, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for the Iceman Cometh, a 1989 film, which I had not heard of. I guess in a way you say this was kind of remade around 2014, give or take, that Donnie Yen film called Iceman, which I did not care for that film at all. I thought it was one of Donnie Yen's worst films. This one is miles better, because I thought the pacing was a bit quicker. I thought that the action scenes, especially the finale, stood out a lot more. And the comedy was a bit easier to swallow and deal with. Because this is kind of, if you take a martial arts version of Encino Man, Highlander, and something else, and you put them together in a blender. Because Yuen Biao, this is a guy that was in the Cynthia Rothrock film Righting Wrongs, and he was a star of it. He worked with Jackie Chan a lot. Those two and Sammo Hung did quite a few films together, including Wheels on Meals. Yuen Biao was in Eastern Condors, great movie, starred and directed by Sammo Hung. Kind of hit their version of The Dirty Dozen. Great movie. If you've never seen Eastern Condors and you like action films, it's definitely worth a watch. Yuen Biao got the star in this, and he's very agile. He's very good at martial arts. He plays a warrior in the Ming Dynasty. One leads to another, and this villain, played by Yuen Biao, he was a guy in Kung Fu Hustle. He's been in quite a few films. He is killing princesses, having fun with them, perhaps even after they're dead. You know, that type of thing. And the warrior, the guard, played by Yuen Biao, has to go stop him. Yuen Biao wants to have something to do with this Buddha wheel that's also supernatural or some type of power. And you have the old school animated special effects where electricity and stuff was done by animation. A lot of it was done back in the day before CGI was such a big thing. But I actually like that aesthetic. And some people may feel it's a bit dated, but I find it a bit charming. You get some pretty decent swordplay and a nice background, this snowy forest. So one leads to another, and both fall. Both fall down this big old mountain. They get frozen, and kind of like Encino Man, you know, many years later, they get thawed out in modern times. And while the villain is off doing his thing, the hero wakes up, and it's a fish out of water story. Kind of like Encino Man, or hell, even Crocodile Dundee. You know, various other fish out of water stories where our lead doesn't understand the time of today. He doesn't know what a TV is. He's trying to talk to the TV, thinking it's a person, but it's not, of course. He doesn't understand what a toilet is, so he thinks it's a place for drinking, and then he figures it out later and almost gets sick from it. He doesn't understand, you know, soap bubbles. He doesn't understand light switches. It depends how you feel about that. I don't mind that type of style of humor, because I grew up with those kind of films. Like Crocodile Dundee is a favorite of mine. Some may feel it's a bit either cringe or typical. I could deal with that. Some simple chuckles and fun out of that stuff. He meets this prostitute played by Maggie Cheung. She's a call girl. She played, I believe, Jackie Chan's girlfriend in the first couple police story movies. I liked her here. I thought she had a decent attitude, and I thought her and Yuen Biao worked well together. Like, the opening is promising. The middle at times is a bit meh, because the fish out of water stuff is cute at first. It gets a bit long in the tooth, and you're waiting for the action to tip back in. It's a little bit of action where he helps the call girl from these guys, and he's doing the stuff to hit the pressure points to immobilize them. there's another point where she gets slapped and he crashes through the office, and it's a really nice agility. Like, anything you say about Yuen Biao, he has fantastic agility. In a way, the bad guy disappears for a while as it sticks with this domesticated guard warrior living with and dealing with this call girl, and then he starts doing her stuff and again being domesticated. And I think a bit of that either could have been cut down a bit or maybe add a few more action scenes that I would have preferred. And then you get the second half of the film, and it starts becoming a bit like Highlander, where the villain started to remind me a little bit of Clancy Brown, just a guy just really willing to do whatever, having fun, having a ball, laughing maniacally. This is a bad guy that's surfing on cars, and he's able to flip bullets, and having as much fun as Clancy Brown was having in Highlander. And I also keep thinking of Highlander because of this power that they're trying to get. Only in Highlander, there could be only one. You have this sword fight at the end, which is pretty decent. I like the backdrop, like they're facing off each other at night on like a rooftop, and a plane passes by, a real plane. I thought they got some bang for their buck with that shot. There's some decent stunt work. There's a bit where the hero is chasing the villain, and the villain's in a jeep, and it gets caught in a crane. It gets picked up, and so the hero is fighting the bad guy as his jeep is up in the air. You get some pretty good stunt work, long, hard falls. At times the tone seems a little bit wonky in the fact of, yeah, you hear all the goofy stuff I mentioned. On the flip side, the villain, there's a point where he attacks a woman in modern time and is like breaking her bones, and you get the idea he's gonna, after she's dead. Like, they don't go exploitation wise. They don't go full force with it. You know, they cut away when they have to. Yeah, like I say, it's not hardcore anything. Not in the sword. So it's definitely makes you hate the villain more and make him feel dangerous. I'm just saying the tone might not be might be a little bit inconsistent for some people. But, like I said, the fish out of water stuff was fun at first. But, like I said, it got a little bit too long. Like I said, I think that could have been shortened. Very solid finale, though. Very solid finale. One thing I was a bit confused at the beginning, this Wheel of Buddha power thing. Like, as I was watching, I'm like, okay, well, that's going to send them to the future. It's going to zap them and teleport them or something of that sort. But the thing is, like, it zaps them a little bit, but then they're outside fighting the snow, and then they fall down a mountain. And I'm sitting there going, like, they're falling down the mountain, they should be dead. Like, they're falling down the mountain, they're, you know, they'd be breaking bones, breaking their necks, breaking their legs. They're dead. Like, they fall down the mountain. So I don't know how they survive that. And I'm thinking, so this powerful thing isn't the reason why they go to the future, our present. It's just they fell down the mountain and froze. I thought there'd be, if there is a link, I think they could have done that much more manageable to make it more understandable to the viewer. If it wasn't, it's just like, okay, it's like Encino Man. They just happen to freeze, and then it's a caveman. You know? Although, you know, although if Pauly Shore popped up in this, it would be pretty funny. But, I mean, the finale, it was kind of cool to see a Kung Fu Highlander. Where the bad guys shooting machine guns at one point, and our heroes dodging bombs among this architecture. Some nice sword fight, sword work. The fight scene is pretty damn good at the end. That's why I wish we could have seen a bit more in the middle. Because there's some really nice kicks. I mean, there's even the guile kick, as I call the guile kick, where if you ever played the Street Fighter 2 video game, where you play as Guile and he does like the backflip kick, and like they try to have Van Damme do that in Street Fighter the movie, but this looked better. It really did look like the Guile kick, as I call it, I'm trying to remember what the sound he made in the game. But they actually show him do it twice. Yeah, ooh, cool, he's doing the dial kick, and just of how agile he is, it looks really nice. Looks really neat. And there's some fun stuff in there. At times, it gets a bit goofy. I will admit that. But I did just say that's kind of their sense of humor in Hong Kong. But overall, yeah, I did like it. I did enjoy it. Like I said, the middle could be worked on a bit more in terms of pacing, script, tone. Maybe, again, add a few more fight scenes or a few more action set pieces. But like I said, the Yuen Biao is a good, capable lead. Maggie Cheung, interested to see her in something other than Police Story, which I'm used to seeing her in those. She has a bit more to do in this movie than she does in the Police Story films. The villain is having a bit of fun, you know, the maniacal. I mean, he's no Clancy Brown in Highlander or Michael Ironside in Highlander 2, but he's definitely having fun with the role. I thought he did a decent job. Definitely a villain you want to see there come up, and so the fight scene at the end is pretty satisfying. Overall, like I said, the finale worked well, and yeah, the whole bit at with the remake, I guess it's a remake because it's Iceman, and it's a guy who gets jettisoned to modern time. Yeah, I think it was supposed to be a remake of this, but this one is much better. Still has that 80s aesthetic that definitely fits. And like I said, overall, it's definitely worth a look if you like these kind of either fish out of water movies or martial arts. It doesn't have a ton of it. Like I said, it has a little bit of swordplay at the beginning, has a little bit of fisticuffs in the middle. Like I said, it has a decent sequence with the Jeep and the crane. That's a nice set piece. Like I said, the finale is pretty damn good. And overall, it's worth a watch. I believe you can find a watch online somewhere. I know also Vinegar Syndrome did release it on Blu-ray. I think there is interviews and features on it, which is cool. And yeah, it's definitely worth a watch if you like anything that I said. But with that said, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you guys later.